tell them where you're at.
So I'm just doing the 5th row and just following along the same way. So I'm up to 6 beads, 6 of the beige, 1 gold, 6 of the brown, and then a bugle bead. Now I'm going to make my little flower at the bottom. When your line starts getting longer, this is how I hold mine so that I have some control over it, so I can slide my needle through all of them. If you can't put them through and it's only like part way, just pull it through, and just make sure it's tight so that there's not a big gap of thread here. And then just finish going through the rest of the beads.
Some of your strands will be longer than the needle, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
And then make sure you go through your bugle bead that's right above your line. And then just pull it a little bit just to tighten it, just to make sure that it doesn't have a bunch of space in it. Now go down your next one. You should be on your 6th bugle bead. And we're gonna pick up 7. And a gold.
So you mentioned that you are self-taught. Like, where did you learn how to put these beads together? Was it trial by error? Did you watch videos?
Kind of trial by error. I kind of watched some videos, but nothing like right through type of thing. I would just, to try and figure out how to put the bugle beads together. This is called, actually, when you got them together like that, it's called a ladder.
Okay.
So that's when you're making these ones, you start with a ladder, and it goes all the way up the middle, and then you're working out this way. Whereas these ones were working down and up this way off of this ladder.
Oh.
Those ones I just learned how to make those ones. So they're my new favorite to make now. Something different. I like trying different things.
And we were talking about with the youth department, with Northwest Youth Advisory, that you are going to be doing some more instructional videos, but it'll be by Zoom. So
Yeah.
if someone gets stuck, if they're troubleshooting, then Lorna will be available to answer questions, work you through the problem. So you guys will have to stay tuned for that on our page.
So you should be on your last bugle bead now, and we should be putting in 8. One gold one and 8 brown ones. And then 3 more for the flower. I call it a flower, it's what it reminds me of. It looks like a little flower at the bottom. Some people only put 1 bead at the bottom and still do the same way. If you just do 1 bead, just go up the color or whatever. Oh, see, I made a mistake. I forgot to put my bugle bead on. So to take these beads off, I just go through the bottom. I pull this out and then they're off.
Oh.
So I forgot to put my bugle bead on. And that's what I did with this one. That's why it looks shorter.
There you go. Didn't even notice.
I was wondering why it was shorter and I forgot to put. So I'll fix it.
Okay, I want to see you fix it.
Okay. So I'm going to take all my beads off that I just put on for this last row, because I forgot to put a bugle bead on and it's shorter.
So you're just backtracking everything you just
Yeah.
did, eh?
Yeah, so now I'm down on here. I'm going to go back up in here and out. And sometimes your string is not going to work with you and come out the way it's supposed to. So you may have to just maneuver around. Mine came out okay this time. And then I'm going to go back down the next one, because that's the one that I made the mistake on, and pull it out. And this is where it's not. So I'm going to take my needle off. And what you do is you just pull from the end like this, and it pulls it out. And then you just pull it all apart. And that way you have it. So then I have to rethread my needle and start again.
So that's why I guess you have that loose end there, because you would otherwise have to tear it all apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then your needle would be stuck in between, and you don't want to have to cut it and have to start right from the beginning. So with this one, I think we're doing 7. Oops. And then this is where I made my mistake. I forgot to put a bugle bead on. And now I'll put my 3 beads. Oh, I'm gonna try anyways. Hard to see these ones. Then you go up your bugle bead and then up all your beads. This one I usually just go halfways and then pull it. And then I just hold it down so that it's tight and go back into all my beads and then up through my bugle bead. There, and then you go back down your last bugle bead. And now we'll put 8. Oops. Gold one. I like beading. I find beading is calming. Unless things start getting all knotted up, then it's not so calming anymore. Then a bugle bead. And the last 3 for this.
That didn't even take long for one earring.
There, so once that's done, we've got the bottom part done. So now we're going to make the top part here. So I don't know if you'll be able to see, but on top, because of how we put all the bugle beads together, there's a little loop on each one. Those are called bridges. They keep the beads together. So what we're going to do is we'll pick up one bead, and you're going to work towards yourself from the, I don't know, front, I guess, towards yourself. You're going to go underneath that one bridge, so it's in between, kind of in between two bugle beads. And you're going to pull your string, and then you're going to go back up into that bead. So then that bead is attached around that bridge. Okay, so you just carry on across, pick up your bead, go from behind, go underneath the bridge, pull your string out, and then go back up your bead. So all your beads should be stuck around here. All your beads should be sitting on top, is how it's going to look, like they're sitting on top of that, of your bugle beads. So when you get to the end, all you're going to do is you're going to turn your earring around, and then you're just going to start your next one. And then if you want to make some kind of design or anything, you can choose how to make your designs. If you want to go each row a different color, you could do that. So again, you have your bridges between each bead. Just go underneath the one, and then back up, and then you have your next one.
So it's through the thread and then through the bead. Is that right?
Yeah, underneath the thread.
Underneath the thread,
So you
and
go
then through the bead to secure it.
Yeah.
Correct?
So you're kind of in between two beads. There's a thread that's between two, like over top two beads, and that's what it's like, bridging them together. So what you want to do is you want to go under that thread that's between those two beads, so it'll look like that.
Okay.
And then you pull it out, and then you go back up that bead. Then that way that bead is tied around that bridge. And the beads that we're using are just your regular seed beads, the size 10 seed beads. There's so many different types of beads that you can use. The beads on these ones are delica beads, and they're a little bit more square, so they sit nicer together.
Yeah, they just sit flat against each other.
And put your last one in.
So to get this triangle effect, you're just going
Yeah,
one less bead each row.
yeah. And then you
So our
flip it
first row is
around.
6, then it goes 5, then 4, then 3, and then she goes up 2s.
And if you find your thread, some people use wax on their thread. I don't normally, the only time I use wax on my thread is when I'm using the cut beads. They're a glass bead, so they'll cut your thread easier, but if you have the wax on it, it protects it a little bit more. So if you're, sometimes my string gets twisted in that because I'm going around in circles all the time. I just lift it up, I let it untwist, and then carry on, because then it starts getting a little bit knotted. Go in through the back and then up through the bead. Through the back. Through the bead. And this is the last one for this row. So you can see a little bit of the pattern coming in. So I flip it around and so there's only 3 left on the top now that I put in. Then you flip it around, and then I end with, oops, jab myself with the needle. I end with the 2. I don't go one more for only 1. I end with the 2, and I'll show you why. So this is how it'll end. You'll have 2, so you still have that 1 bridge left. I don't go and put 1 bead in there, because what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna do the little loop where your earring hook is gonna go into. So I just pick up 4 of the color. So I'm on top of this bead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down this other bead, the one beside it. So now I have my hoop. And then what I do is I just go through, I just go down all the beads along the side, one bead at a time. I go down. Oops. And then I go back through my first bugle bead. And then I just weave back and forth up through them. So I went up the second bugle bead, now I'm going to go down the third one. And just the bugle beads, I don't go through the whole loop. And all this is just tightening it up, so then when I go to cut it off, I don't have to make a knot and it won't come apart.
Okay.
And that way I don't have a bunch of knots. So I just go from there, and then I just cut it off, and then I take a hook, and I have this trusty little tool. I open up my hook at the end, then I hook it on that little loop that I made at the top. I squeeze it back together, and there you go.
Beautiful.
One of a pair of earrings done.